So today is a computer social science lab seminar. It's a mixed mode. So today is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Yunjun Zhang from the Stony Group in the United States. Dr. Zhang is a assistant professor. Actually, he has been successfully promoted to associate professor, which will be effective from September this year. So congratulations, Professor Zhang. So Professor Zhang is from Department of Sociology and the Institute for Advanced Computation, Computer Science at Stony Brook University, with affiliation in the AI Innovation Institute, the Center for Study of Changing Systems of Power, and the Department of Asian and Asian American Studies. His work sits at the intersection of the computation, social science, AI, and sociology, with research projects focused on how AI agents reshape the social organization of knowledge production. He's a developer of the open scholar skills and open source Claude Code, a plug of the spreadsheet AI skills, covering the end-to-end social science research pipeline. So Professor Zhang's work has been published in top sociology journals, such as American Journal of Sociology, Demography, and German Marriage, Family, etc. So now let's welcome Professor Zhang.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Professor. Very kind introduction. Thanks for the invitation. So I'm Josh Zhang. So I'm Yunjun Zhang. So my colleague just called me Josh. Big live question. So today I'm going to talk about live researching. Can you play the video for me? Thank you. Before we get started, I made a video about the open source skills I developed. Of course, I use the Claude Code to make this video. Just give you some taste how it works.
Here is how it actually works. It all starts with a single command. The researcher types /scholarly with a one-line brief, the digital divide in China over time, using CFPF data aimed at the journal social.
So in the past half a year, I spent a lot of time developing this open scholar skill, right? So basically, it's a plugin for any code agent like Claude Code or Codex or others, right? So again, focusing on executing the whole research pipeline, and again, tailored for social science. So today I'm gonna spend more time discussing, the pipeline. So for full disclosure, I'm not here to promote. Okay, everyone should use AI agents to write a paper. That's not what I'm trying to say. Here, I'm trying to promote. We should use AI agents in social research to basically, improve your productivity. We're not going to show you the whole video. Just give you a taste, how it works, right? We're using command line, Claude Code, and again, go through all these skills. Basically, just you can think, right? Coding agents as your research assistant. I bet a lot of folks are using it maybe nowadays, maybe not, right? So, but it doesn't really matter. I'll go through today. Can you stop the video and then switch back to the slides? Thank you. Let me begin with a very simple question, and I generally like you to answer in your time. Okay. When was the last time you did something in your research that only you could have done? So that's kind of a question I'm asking you. Not a regression, not a literature review, not a format, right? You can do that, obviously. But something requires your judgment, right? Like your read of field and also your theoretical investigation, right? So again, we can run the code, we can write a literature review, we can format the paper. That's right now, AI agents can do it for you. But again, it's still hard, right, to make theoretical leap, right? So that's kind of a question I'm asking. And again, in the past half year, I spent a lot of time building this open scala scale. As I mentioned, it's a coding agent plugin for these mainstream coding agents like Claude Code or Codex or some domestic coding agents, right? So today I'm going to spend time discussing vibe researching. So in 2025, Kapalthi, right, former Tesla chief AI scientist, right, OpenAI co-founder, and also now he is a staff member of Anthropic. Right? So he gave a term, vibe coding, right? So you describe your need, right? AI writes code, and then you better read it, right? Sounds like a yen too faster when using Chinese words, right? Right now we have a research compound, which is vibe researching, right? So again, you describe your research question, right? The AI runs a lecture review, design the study, analyze the data, draft the paper, simulate the results, right? So it's kind of research compound, right? Conversational coding, right? But again, a lot of folks may, question that. That's true, right? Because a lot of folks still have the chat bar mode. We discuss AI, right? A lot of folks think, yeah, I was using AI, I was using ChatGPT, right? I had a conversation with the chat bot, but that's not the case in the past couple of months, right? Obviously in the past half year. Right now we are moved toward AI agent, right? So again, if AI agents can execute the whole research pipeline, right? What is the researcher's distinctive contribution? I think that's a question we have to think about, right? That's why I was using the old Chinese fable, right? The boy who cried war, right? That's why I'm using the word coming as the title. But again, this time the worth is. So again, I'll spend some time discussing, the history, right? And again, just a little bit of history might be useful, right? So here in 2022, right, ChatGPT, right, AI can generate text code, right? 2023, right, instruction following. 2024, right, these two AI can use tools, right? That's the key difference, right? So AI can, query a database, write code, right? And at 2025 here, again, multi-step workflow agents, right? So again, as I mentioned, in the past half year, things change so fast, right? So again, here, AI has crossed the line. So from assistant to agent, that's a key argument that I'm trying to make in this talk. So again, from something, right, you just ask, right, that gives you back an answer, right, to something can touch your data, right? So again, agents could be, here assistant state to access specialist skills, can also spawn parallel sub agents. So again, the question is not, is AI good already, right? So we passed that stage, right? So now the question is what happens when AI can execute the whole research pipeline? I think that's the question we should ask ourselves. Of course, I can hear objections. That's for sure. So again here, so where does our field actually stand? This spring, Anthropic did a survey. They surveyed 1,260 quantitative social scientists, right? So Nate Wimmer from MIT, he's also a sociologist, right? Working with Anthropic. They did a survey. Again, they found that 80% of these respondents have tried AI chatbots, right? 81%, right? A lot. But only 20% of these quantitative social scientists regularly using some kind of coding agents a majority, of course, a Claude Code, right? But again, if you dive into the stats, right? So it's uneven, right? Unevenly distributed, right? So here again, right, adopt coding agents and twice, right? At the rate of mirror. And also top 25 elite universities, right? 40% right, more likely to adopt coding agents. And of course, early career scholars are more likely to adopt coding agents, right, than the 10%. Okay, so doctoral students, postdoc, tenure track faculty are more likely to adopt coding agents. And again, so adoption is here. So they also found that, right, for those folks who adopt AI agents, right, they have 10% more projects started, right? 75 posted 75% more working papers. The good news is there's no significant difference in journal submissions yet, right? So, but we should expect more journal submissions, right? Of course, there are other research showing since ChatGPT, right? Journal submission actually rose 42%, right? But of course, the quality goes down. So again, adoption is here. The premium, productivity premium is uneven. And again, the institutional consequences are low, right? Still low. So not yet, right? But we should anticipate some kind of change soon. So here, why now, right? So these are Miller's data. Miller is model evaluation and threat research. So they have actually, I have to admit that these chart actually, is one of the most important chart making me take vibe researching seriously. So basically, right, the AI, right, the capacity of AI doing reliable work, right, is doubling every 7 months, right? So if you go back to early 2020, right, AI agents, right, AI can do reliability of work with a couple of seconds, to now the frontier model, right, can complete complex tasks, right, maybe 10 hours each, like a codifiable, grapple, opus 4.8 or fable 5, right? So again, the open scholar skill I developed, right, falls into this kind of 3 to 8 hours window. So if you try to execute the whole research pipeline, it takes 3 to 8 hours, right, to complete the whole project, right? So that's why, like, okay, maybe 5 years ago, that sounds like science fiction, but that's not anymore, right? So if you're interested in the AI development, you can check Miller's research. They have done a lot of interesting work. So, and again, why this is sociological? I'm a sociologist, right? So why should we, be interested in the adoption of AI agents, or even try to develop these skills, right, for our community? So again, agents do not merely change productivity, right? They place real strain on the norms, right, that hold science together, right? Thinking about, Merton's 4 norms of science, right? Communalism, universalism, disinterestedness, right? Organizational skepticism, right? And AI is disrupting all these norms, right? So each of them begins to buckle once output is optimized for acceptance, and once sheer volume threatens to overwhelm the review system, right? I don't know your experience right now. If you submit paper to journal, how long does it take nowadays, right? So, and I was sitting on the source and community review, and the editor told me, like, right now we have like over 700 submissions already. So we can anticipate that we have like over 1,000 at least submissions, and that's rejection rate is very high nowadays, right? So again, here, right? This is a question about the social organization of knowledge in the age of AI. Who produces knowledge, right? A lot of us are using AI. We don't know, right? How it's certified and what counts as expertise. I think these questions are very, very important. That's why I was sociology should spend more time thinking about optional. And I want to borrow a metaphor and funnel. It's Daoshun ones. Daoshun is a professor at Northwestern University doing science of science, right? So he had a couple of articles published in Nature discussing the impact of AI agents, right? So he was using the airplane metaphor, right? So again, going back to old days, right? Jobs, right? Personal computer. If you think about personal computer, right, it's a bicycle for the mind, right? So you feel the road beneath you, right? And you notice where you of course, right? But for AI agents, completely different, right? So he used the airplane metaphor, right? Airplane AI agents, right, are airplanes for the mind, right? So again, separated from the terrain by layers of instrumentation, right? But again, arrows are invisible until they compound into practice, right? That's kind of the situation. A lot of those we are using AI actually don't know what's really going on, right? So you can picture, right? An agent can read 500 papers for you, maybe 10 or 20 minutes, very fast, right? Propose 3 research questions for you, right? But again, the researcher who accepts these has not read those papers. But okay, these are top 3 research questions, right? Of course, have the follow certain instructions, right? And again, they arrive at destination without making the journey and cannot evaluate. I think that's a situation nowadays a lot of colleagues face, right? And that's the capacity hostile environments for term. So again, I can hear the objection here, right? Well, we have heard these a lot, right? So survey software, right? Or like going back to old days, right? SPS, SAS, people worry about, we're gonna be replaced, right? But that never happened, right? These tools augment us, right? But again, now it's different, right? So kernel work has different teeth, as I mentioned, right? AI agents can easily, right, query your local library databases, right? A lot of us are using Supero, right, manually or Anino, right? If you are maintaining a good, high quality local library, good for you, because based on my testing, right, we found if you are maintaining a good local library, actually AI agents can produce very high quality stuff. Because that's your knowledge. That's your prime knowledge, right? Can generate a causal DAX, right? Identification, strategies, right? Theory sections, matching journal norms, simulates peer reviews, right? Executes this 20-phase pipeline autonomously, right? So again, you see, it's different. That's why I was trying to say, AI agent, right? Agentic AI is qualitatively different from prior automation waves. So here, I'm trying to give you some high-level understanding of open source skills. Again, here doing research, right? It's not the undifferentiated one thing, right? It has at least several stages, right? From idea formation, right? Literature review, design, data, analysis, writing, review. Obviously, right? Automation, right? Potential varies across different stages, right? So again, here we are not trying to say, okay, you can delegate all this stuff to AI. That's not true, right? But again, for certain stages, definitely you can delegate to AI. So here, again, I was trying to give you some basic understanding, right? Prior automation waves, and again, this wave is different. Automated system, right? So I briefly mentioned SPSS data, right? Automated computation, web scraping, right? Automated data collection. A lot of folks are using web scraping nowadays, right? Natural language processing, right? Automated text analysis, right? But again, things 2024, right? Reasoning itself, right? Maybe it's debatable. Can be automated to some extent, right? So here it's quite different, right? So wait for automated reasoning across stages. So that's the key difference. So again, what exactly is AI agent, right? So here I'm trying to compare chatbot with AI agent. Again, a lot of folks still have the chatbot mindset when we were discussing AI, right? So the chatbot just text in, text out, right? Status, right? Text only, right? Or GPT or Claude, right? No file access, no code execution, no memory, no semantic agents, right? So your conversation with chatbot and it gives you the answer. But AI agent is totally different, right? So here, OpenSCala scale is just a plugin, right? So again, it's multi-step persistent tool using, right? Read, write files to this, right? Run bash, right? So you can execute your R, Python, or Stata code, right? And query databases, right? All different kinds of databases. You can search web, fetch papers, right? Spawn parallel sub-agents to do the task. Cloud now has workflow function, right? And again, here with Scala scale, you can invoke these specialist skills, right? For your domain-specific research pipeline. So here, here's the entire machine, in a single picture. So again, this graph actually comes from the preprint dive into Claude Code. Early this year, Anthropic accidentally, leaked their source code, right? And a lot of scholars were trying to evaluate the harness structure. And they found that actually the model itself actually only accounts for less than 2%. 98% of the code, right, deal with harness, right? So again, here, right, that's the whole pattern, right? A prompt, right? So here, user a prompt, and there's the agent loop, right? So powered by larger models, right? And again, a permission system. I know a lot of folks are using Claude Code, right? A permission system gates each one, right? Allow, ask, or deny, right? And then tools act on the execution environment, right? Your local environment, right? Right, access your files, share, right? Web, MCP, right? Model context protocol, and feed the results back, right? And also we have a persistent state, right? Across terms, right? Across sessions, right? So again, every OpenSCala scale actually runs on top of this same loop, right? So again, this is a general purpose AI agent, of course, right? You would imagine maybe it's not doing good job for your domain-specific project. That's why we are trying to develop agent skills, right? So what are the agent skills, right? So again, right, these are general-purpose AI agents, but for research, for social science, right, we are dealing with domain-specific tasks, right? That's why we spend a lot of time developing AI agent skills. So what is AI agent skill, right? So again, Anthropic, right, in 2005, they sort of released this kind of a modular capacity packages that transform these general purpose AI into domain specialists, right? There's each skill is a directory, is a folder, right, containing skill.md, basically just instructions plus your workflow, right? So again, I know here we have a lot of specialists, quantitative social science, ethnographer, or computer scientist, right? And again, you have your own skill, right? And you are a researcher, right? If you are doing causal inference, right? You follow certain protocols. So here we are trying to fix those skills, right? For these AI agents. Just ask these AI agents to be your scalable itself, right? So again, each skill is a directory, contains skill.md file, right? Instructions, workflow, references, right? These are domain knowledge. Templates could be code, right? Scripts, so here code or Python, depending on which language you use, right? And again, one of the beauty of agent skill is progressive exposure, right? It does not load all this stuff into your context, right? So again, as startups, right, it only load the metadata like name, right, skill name, right, and then it loads these instructions, right, on demand, right. And if you need it, then it will load a resource like you get the positive, right? You have some positive codes. Right? So here are the key design principles, right? So it's file system based skills live as directories on disk, not in prompts, right? Composable, right? So if you think about doing social science research as a module, right? From idea, later review, right? Getting data, analyze data, right? So we can actually compose each skill, right? Separate. Code execution, run scripts, right? Usable. So that means that we spend a lot of time developing open source skill, basic agent skills, tailored for social science, right? So here I'll use some time to go over open source skills, right? So these are tailored for society. So science is open source. You can just search GitHub open source skill. You can test it and see whether it works or not, right? You can actually create your own skill, right? But again, we spent a lot of time testing, right? So we were using the Claude Code Max plan, $100. Spent a lot of time. There are still a lot of bugs, but again, right now it's producing high quality stuff. So in my computer, I have like over 50 papers using CFPS data. But I'm not going to submit these papers to journals, but at the beginning we thought about doing audit studies, but it's unethical. We are not trying to overwhelm the peer review system. We are hiring independent scholars to evaluate papers right now. So I'll just give you some few demo, right? Again, open source skill is still evolving. So when I was preparing the slides, we have 35 skill, but right now it's over 40, right? So here we are trying to think about the whole research pipeline, right? So again, we're trying to group these skills into different stages from project setup, right? When you're working on your project, what are you going to do? You create your folder, right? Data raw or process, right? That's what we do, right? Or write code. Formulation, right? Thinking about idea formulation. How do you formulate the idea? You do literature review, right? Brainstorm, check the code, right? And then we can ask AI to do that, right? Literature review, based on literature review, to review hypotheses, right? If you're doing theory, how to do conceptual mapping, right? Design, right? Nowadays, you can ask AI to write a design for you, causal strategies for you, right? Data, how to fetch these open source data sets, right? EDA, that's exploratory data analysis. Explore the data and see some patterns, analyze the data, right? And I have several modules, analyze, compute, right? These for computational social science. Package all these leading computational tools, right? So you can use that to quickly go through potential, computational social science projects. Linguistics stuff, quantitative as well, right? For different kinds of project. Writing, right? So we have a scholar write skill, right? I'll show you the logic, right? Again, you don't have to memorize the catalog. Nobody can do that, right? But here I'm trying to show, you all these stages, right? Thinking about how you do your own research, ethics, submission, right? So when you submit your paper, how to draft your cover letter, right? How to do the review, right? And also prepare the replication package. We care about transparency, right? And then even if you're not using your agents, you have to prepare your replication package. But nowadays, I also have other, skills like teaching, prepare teaching materials, writing grant. That's very useful. Scholar grant, write grant proposals. Right. So here, before we dive into the demos, I'm also trying to show you these chart, right? So again, this is the key in the whole talk, actually. Right. So again, when we think about what kind of a task can be dedicated to AI, we have to think about whether your output, right? So here we care about output checkable, right? Whether your output can be mechanical check, right? And also the procedure articulability. As here, we have output verifiability and also process articulability, right? Whether you can articulate the process in advance, you can write down the steps, right? And whether you can check your output or verify your output, right? So if you plot these two dimensions, right? So here you will have, C type C, right? Both high on two dimensions. That's execution, right? Like run regressions, right? Check the, citation UI, right? Or prepare replication package, right? So these can be dedicated to AI, right? For here planning, right? So again, higher on process or articulability, but lower on output verifiability, right? So AI provides options, human choices, right? We also have higher on output verifiability, right? That's kind of a lower the process articulability, right? So that's recognition. And again, human flags, AI verifies. Then we have both lower, right? That's formulation, right? Like, recognizing productive gap, right? Of theoretical originality, right? So we should protect those. That's, humans still remain the authorship here, right? So again, we think about, which kind of task should be delegated to AI. You have to think about these dimensions. This is a final frame before we move to the demos, right? So again, I try to briefly go over the design logic, right? We are trying to use AI agents. You have to think about these things, right? So for social scientists, we care about their safety. A lot of folks are skeptical of using AI because you're worried about your data will be transmitted to Anthropic, OpenAI. So here, we take these very seriously, right? So again, before you run any project, right, we are going to do local, P2, this sensitive data scan, right? Like, float name, right? So security number or something like that, right? If, right, the data, scan, gets flagged, right? We are going to have a hard stop, right? A pre-tool use, hard stop, right? We will not allow, learning models to read your data, right? And everything has to be processed on your local computer or your local server, right? Only aggregated results can be accessed by this platform, right? So we care about their safety. The second, logic is verify, don't trust. We are using a extremely uncertain tool to seek certain, right? So we should never trust AI. We should verify, right? So that's kind of like, that's why we spend our time building, skills, right, to verify. A lot of folks are worried about citation, hallucination. That's not a thing anymore, right? You can easily check your citation, right? When we are building a scholar, right? We are building a verified tool first, right? Query your local databases and also these Crossref, right? OpenAlex, these databases to make sure all the citations are valid, right? And never trust the model's memory. You have to have gates to evaluate the output. That's very important. Hard stuff, not suggestions, right? So again, in the overscale scale, right? We have 5 architecture gates, but again, still depends on whether the larger model follow instruction. So only the pre-tool you use is a hard stop. But that's a key. Again, you will see different coding agents. We follow instruction differently. But again, we are doing our best for it. Yeah. Mirrors of real research modularly, right? So here we're trying to follow the real research pipeline. Right? Transparency, audio trail. So here we are running AI agents. Every phase log its decision. Every step is transparent. All right. So again, a lot of folks are using AI agents. You ask AI to produce things, right? They give you results, but you don't pay attention to the underneath, right? Reasoning, right? So here we are making sure, right, every phase logs its decisions, that we have a results registry and also adjudication of this. So that's why we care about transparency, right? And again, the orchestrator reads this non-agent prose, right? So again, a lot of folks, ask AI, did you do X, Y, Z? AI will tell you, right? I did X, Y, Z, but in reality, right, it may not, right? So that's why we have to have these gates to evaluate, to check. Knowledge accumulates. So again, right, if you're using AI to do all these different kind of projects, right? So you might, for instance, I was testing using the computation, using CFPS to write my first paper actually was computation. That's why I was using CFPS to run some tests, right? So I read a bunch of papers, right? But again, I was trying to test another project focusing on the impact of computation on, some kind of more, right? So cross projects, right? You did a lot of redundant stuff. So here we're trying to build your own personal knowledge graph, right? So next project can take advantage of pre-existing knowledge graph. You're not wasting your context, right? So we also have that scale knowledge, options, not decisions. So here again, every skill emits candidates, right? The researcher jars. So here, right, I'm not here to promote, right, all of research. That's not what I'm trying to say. Right? So again, ships are reproducible replication pattern. And then empirical discipline. Now, yeah, I know there are some kind of versions on shelves because I was monitoring all these relevant agent skills. There are a couple of popular ones, right? So again, basically ask AI agents to find these empirical signals, right? If it's significant, let's go forward, right? People. But that's not what we are trying to do, right? So again, here, empirical discipline is not inactive, right? So we are still following the traditional fundamental science logic, deductive, right? Start with your research question, go through these pipeline, right? Even the produces no results. What is that? So here I'll just give you a quick demo. So again, if you're trying to use so this is not a kind of regular research talk, just dive into these skills, right? So here, when you start your project, we always do use the start initiate, as I mentioned. Initiate your project and do safety triage, right? So again, you can easily use invoke, right? These skills, right? Using one single command, right? If you're using Claude Code command line or their desktop, right? So again, here, I'm trying to initiate a new project, immigrant wage, right? And then, you can also define your data, right? And materials, right? A lot of folks are doing survey, right? You can just dump your code, right? To it. And again, what it does is to scan the data and trying to detect whether it is sensitive, whether AI can touch it, right? If it detects, okay, it's sensitive, right? So it kind of provides scan. If it's sensitive, then it will write this safety status JSON file, right? And again, I mentioned that's a hard stop, right? If it detects sensitive data, right, then we're going to use a local mode, right? Basically, all the data will be processed locally, and OpenAI or Anthropic cannot access the raw data because we are using pre-tool use, right, the hood, right, to restrict AI agents access to your data. We also have here. I'm trying to show you the Scala idea, right? So again, it's very, very straightforward. We are trying to formalize your puzzle, right? Give you some formalize your research question. Again, here, so it looks very intuitive here, but again, we're designing this skill, right? So here, basically, you have some idea, right? So here, why do college-educated workers live declining regions, right? That's kind of your research idea. But again, we're trying to formalize your research idea, right? So trying to find a puzzle, I'm trying to propose some risk question candidates, right, with different scope condition, and also scan the literature. Do the literature scan, right? So that's why you have to maintain a very good local library, right? So trying to understand key debates, gaps, and then trying to do some variable mapping, right? And also check the visibility. Of course, we're gonna spawn multiple agents to evaluate your research, right? And then it gives you a final recommendation. So that's idea formation stage. Here, sometimes you might have a research question, but sometimes you don't, right? So that's why we have the star brainstorm. Right, you have some data, you have some code book, you might read some paper, right? You read some paper, and you're trying to see, should I do something, right? So again, you can use the Scala brainstorm, right, to give you some idea. A lot of folks, I'm using the CFPS as example, right? You can dump your code book to AI, and again, of course, I'm not saying you have to do this, but again. So Scala brainstorm, right, has 3 modes, right? Data, materials, paper, right? Again, it auto detects mode from your 5 extensions, actually, right? Explore data landscape, extract paper elements, right? And then try to generate these potential candidates, right? If you have data, it actually can do a quick empirical signal test, trying to see what is, potential variable is significant or not, right? Again, going back to old days, right? We had research assistants to help us, but nowadays you have very agents, very quickly, right? Going back to old days, we might spend a semester doing that, but now it's just 10 or 20 minutes now, right? I'm gonna give you a short list, right, regarding this top 10 research questions, right? And of course, we're gonna spawn multiple agents to evaluate these potential questions and then give you some consensus. So here, AI generates options from your data, right? And again, researchers judges which questions are theoretically interesting. It gives you a list of questions. Doesn't this necessarily mean these questions are theoretically meaningful? Still, you have to judge which question is important, right? Here, Scala review hypotheses, right? So here, again, I think every scholar should maintain a good, high-quality local library. That's very important, right? Again, you guys see a lot of skills, they are trying to query the databases, but they are only querying abstracts, title abstracts, right? They don't have full access to the PDF. That means when you are maintaining a very good local library, right, AI agents can access these raw materials, right? That's why I was saying that you should again here when you initiate a literature review hypothesis, again, once you have some idea, right, research question, formalize the research question, you do literature review, right? So here, when we're designing skill, we are trying to take advantage of your own local knowledge, right? And of course, it also carry these existing databases. Unfortunately, only access those abstracts, right? And then they were trying to map these literature into different bins based on their needs, right? So again, you can easily write over 1,000-word literature review within a couple of minutes, right? And again, tailored for journal citation, we stay into this, right? And you can use that, right? But again, here, AI cannot tell which findings is replicated or what is like, versus settled, right? So again, your meta knowledge is very, very important. Here, that's a workflow, right? So again, here, keyword author search in local library, right? So we'll read the literature review, right? Here you go for keywords, right? We can generate these abstracts by theme and try to identify these gaps, right? And then try to map these frameworks, right? So again, a lot of us are using AI agents to try to, give you some synthesis, right? You realize, okay, the hypothesis actually drifted, right? So here we're trying to map literature gap hypothesis, right? So it has a derivation chain, right? Gap framework hypothesis. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how researchers are doing social science research. We follow that workflow. Here, start design puzzle, right? So design again. So as I mentioned, we are not a kind of a paper significance machine, right? We're trying to find some significant word. Here, we have a pretty deep mode, right? Writing your design, right? And then, again, you can use this start design, right? Trying to, figure out the potential outcomes, controls, real-world regressions, right? Power analysis, right? Is parametric strategy, etc. Right? And then we also have a scholar puzzle, right? Basically, it contains both these leading color inference techniques, right? So it can easily use this skill to produce the design. But again, here AI provides code, right? And as a researcher, right, you have to understand the assumption. Why I'm using this particular color inference strategy, right? Why is you staggered PID versus regression smooth, right? And again, you have to ensure you understand the assumptions, right? Otherwise, you are not able to defend the usage of these skills, usage of these methods, right? Data idea, EDA, right? Exploratory data analysis, right? So here, how to get those data, right? It's kind of data collection module. We also have exploratory data analysis module, right? Check, we always, if you're doing quantitative analysis, you will know, right? Table 1, always the distributed statistics, right? So it will produce these things for. Here, analyze, compute, right? Different modules. So, actually run analysis, right? Write the code, write an R or Python code for you, right? So here, that's Scala compute. We also have an additional Scala simulate. A lot of folks are using larger models as respondents nowadays, right? So we also have a Scala simulate. That's a separate package, right? So you can use and slot in other things. So here, let's start right. Let me see. Start right. So again, all right. Once you do all the stuff, right, you're gonna write the prose for you, right? That's very important, right? We spend a lot of time doing that, and again, we're trying to personalize. Right? I'm not saying you're gonna use Scala writing to write an article, but again, a lot of the words are redundant, can be, completed by AI agents, right? So here, we go through these 3 tiers, right? So we're building the article knowledge base, right? Like, check these top articles, you're trying to understand the fields, gaps, contributions, you're trying to learn your voice, right? So for me, I just feed my own articles to AI to learn, right? Section snippets, right? So, again, you have to extract all these your own article, top journal articles, right? To build this. And again, they can be done on the map, right? And then drag the output, right? Taken for our journal. Here, Scala response, right? Journal. So again, as a researcher, a lot of times we're dealing with, response memos, right? So here we're trying to have this kind of skills, Scala response, right? And again, we are trying to spawn different kinds of agents, right? to review your paper before submission. Now, so last month, Yale AI workshop, right? So it invited a lot of journal editors to discuss, the publishing in the AI age, right? What should we do? Right? Should we, incorporate AI in the pre-submission check? That's still debatable, right? But again, for researchers, right, it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt. All right, so that's why we have these start respond modules, right, to rescan your work. I mentioned this one, scholar knowledge, right? Cross projects have different modes to build your own local knowledge graph. That's very important. And again, here, as I mentioned, every scholar should maintain your own high quality local library, local knowledge. And I also think, right, if you're using the AI agent, you should maintain your own knowledge graph, right? I'm not going to dive into details. Here, that's again, right? So as I mentioned, we can think about research pipeline as separate stages, right? So we do the modular work, and at the end of the day, you can chain all these skills together, right? Start with the safety, right? Brainstorm idea, right? You can chain them together to build your own pipeline, right? So and then you can, I mean, honestly, you can do that. You can. It could be fully autonomous, right? That's why we were testing the AI boundary. Right, we run the Scholar folk paper. So we tested over 50 times, right? As I mentioned, over 50 papers seen, right? Some of these are hypothetical, right? I was supposed to show you some of these, but again, I mean, if you're interested in, I can post those papers to you. AI xiv.me. I'll show you later. All right, I'll quickly go through some of these. Right. So again, end-to-end our research still human in the loop, right? So if you notice, Nature has published a series of papers discussing this, right? So there's one paper. So again, the state of the art, right, in fully automated research, right? So we all, right, that's a Nature paper, right, towards end-to-end automation and research, right? So again, it is not yet clear the bar. So their own work, right? Only 1 of 3 submissions was accepted, right? And a workshop accepted far more than in Congress. And again, they mentioned cannot yet meet the standards of top-tier publications. Not even do so consistently for workshops. But again, right? I mean, so here, the quality itself, right, varies a lot, right? But we did a lot of tests. Honestly, I would say, it's doing pretty good job, right, if you have enough tokens to test. Here, does it actually work? So here, just show you a trace CFDS graph, right? So I was interested in the impact of computation on general activities, right? So again, we go through the whole process, right? 3 hours on a laptop, right? And again, I would say it produces enough results, but the system works, right? We did a P2 scan, first off, everything run locally, right? And also, we found some bugs, right? That's one run right here. 2 real papers end to end, right? So again, we are not producing these, paper machine. We are not trying to do paper machines. Right? So here you see, we actually produce these honest null results, right? That's very important, right? So here we have 2 papers. One is matter of quality, another thing focus on college knowledge gap, wider across cohorts, right? One is using CFDS data, another is using GSS data, right? So again, I would say we are producing honest results. Here, the candidate track record, as I mentioned, right? We roughly run 50 papers using CFDS and GSS. These are open access data set, right? So again, because we were testing the pipeline, some of these failed. We have about 40 fully assembled manuscripts, right? And I would say 8 to 10 generally strong, right? 15 solid about ordinary. So kind of normal science stuff, not genius science, right? But again, you know, a lot of, sometimes we are just doing normal science, right? To some extent. A few actually landed, you know, ideology with polarization, right? Partisan sorting, computation. That's because or geographic, you know, inequality. That's because I maintain high quality global. I was doing this type of research. So again, I'll quickly go through what AI is good at or bad at. Right? AI excels at speed and coverage, right? So human research may take 2 to 3 weeks to read more than 100 papers, right? Synthesize, you know, the data, you know, the literature. But AI can do that in 10 or 20 minutes nowadays, right? But I want to emphasize that, right? Coverage doesn't mean comprehension. AI synthesizes what is in the database, does not know what matters, right? So I want to be clear about that. AI excels at a methodological scaffolding. So as I mentioned, we can package all these methods in form scale, right? You can use them, right? But again, as a researcher, you have to judge, right? Whether these assumptions hold in your context. That's very important, right? AI struggles here, right? AI struggles, you know, in the theoretical originality. Again, we did a lot of tests, right? What AI theory looks like, right? Drawing X, Y, Z, right? Argue X shapes Y through Z, right? We are structured, correctly cited, causal mechanism, right? But derived from existing framework. It's hard to make theoretical, right? They can synthesize what you have. So AI cannot do identify, generate new mechanism, recognize when frameworks are wrong, right? So again, it's hard to make conceptual leap that changes the subfield. It's hard to have this idea like weak type or categorical inequalities. And also struggles with tacit film knowledge, right? So again, here above the wall. Right, that's explicit knowledge. We have this, right? Published literature, method, recipes, right? Journal norms, etc. But AI don't know about field politics, right? Don't know about trust network, timing, editorial culture, right, etc. Right. So again, we know more than we can tell, right? AI doesn't know about that. But still, right? Human remains almost here. So again, so go back to the 2 dimensions, right? Output verifiability, process applicability, right? So again, you need to think about what kind of tasks can be dedicated to AI. I'm not saying you can dedicate all your tasks to AI, but some tasks, right, can be dedicated to AI, right? So like ledger synthesis, right, could be, right? Analysis code, of course, nowadays. So when you are asking AI to write a code, one good suggestion would be ask AI to comment each line. Then you can easily verify those code, right? If you just ask AI to generate code, it's so hard for you to verify the output. Some of the risk factor formulation, right? AI assists theory generation, no. Fear judgment, never, right? So here we're trying to test the boundary, right? Again, the boundary is positive, not sequential. What are the potential implications for society? Again, we are socialists. Quickly go through, right? Again, can AI replace socialists? Right? Probably not, right? So here, always the augmentation thesis, right? With AI, especially for junior scholars, right? You might write 2 or 3 articles, but nowadays could be more productive, right? Because a lot of tedious work can be done by them. So again, augmentation works when researcher remains author, judge, right? AI is an assistant, not a research. We have to be clear about that. And also we have this verification gap, right? So it's so easy to generate the stuff, but it's so hard to verify output. Stratification risk. So not every researchers can access frontier models, right? For Claude Code, right? So the pro plans training a month, but that's not enough to run overscalar scale pipeline. So you have to have a max plan, like $100, $200. Because what testing pipeline? So we're using $200, but still we beat the rate limits, right? Technical, field, etc. We do have these stratifications there, right? If AI productivity premium widens can track gap, right? Whatever that's the case. And here I'm trying to show you the data. Again, it's a research conducted by Agentic. They are trying to see whether AI can disrupt certain application, right? For life and social science, right? In theory, 80% of the tasks can be replaced. 80% can be replaced by AI, but in practice, only 12%. There are still gaps, right? But that's kind of latency, right? So takes time. That means we still have some time. Pedagogical crisis. Some of you might be PhD students, but think about how to train our PhD students, right? How again going back all this, we train them. If you're doing audience, understand how to run regression, how to code interview, or write lecture review, right? But in the AI era, what we need to think about, how we train folks, right? How to evaluate AI generated code, how to detect AI things, errors, right? How to maintain originality, right? So here, right, again, AI struggles with theoretical originality, right? We need to invest more in theory-based training. And again, here, if you do that, you might also risk at producing these AI operators, right? So there's always a trade-off, right? There's a trade-off. So here I'm trying to say again, we should do some responsible viable research, right? Here, we are using AI agents, we are trying to promote that. You should disclose AI using, but folks are hesitant because when you submit your article, if the editor sees, okay, you are using AI, you might get rejected, but we don't know about that. Verify, maintain scale, protect your originality, design for access, right? So these are principles you should follow, right? So again, a lot of folks say, all right, the AI works here, right? So we're not alone. There are other scholars, they are doing similar thing, right? Economists, right? Autonomous policy evaluation. You can check their lab. They're producing thousands of papers, right? Targeting AER. Some of these papers actually are top ranked, right? So Scholar actually has a quota, right? If you have 20K, you can overflow the system, right? Peer reviews, right? House economics, the editor, right? Mentioned again, right? They have over 1,000 submissions. Depends on some cues to the decimal rejection, but now AI can easily pass the decimal rejection phase. How do we deal with the over 1,000 submissions, right? Shared, right? We also have another, so I mentioned the Wemmer, right? Wemmer, a sociologist at MIT, they were doing a similar project, paper factory. You might have heard of this project. So they also using AI agents, right, to write papers, right? I believe they also had over 100 papers. And it's online. You can check it. I changed the ideas of designing these systems. So again, it's here, right? So it's here, and I was trying to build a platform, right? So again, to track these AI produced stuff. So I'm going to just upload my AI generated papers to the platform. It's AI.xid.me, right? So a lot of folks are interested in the AI produced outputs to do some research, right? So again, here, I know I'm right out of time, right? But I'm trying to make 3 arguments in this talk, right? So nowadays, AI agents are quantitative, right? From prior tools, right? Multi-step reasoning across the pipeline, right? So what a solar researcher can accomplish that. So that's great. The delegation boundary is not relative, not sequential, right? You can delegate a certain task to AI so you have to get it. And also, viable research is already here. You may imagine, oh no, but it's already here. The normative response is not, right? There's no norm. I think that's a key thing. So here, I will try to promote, several innovations, right? Disclosure, show how to disclose right? The AI usage, right? Pedagogical reform, algorithm design, deeper theory training, right? So again, social scientists are best positioned, right, to study how AI, right, transform social research or impact the labor market or study the impacts of AI, right? So I know some of you are sociologists, some of you are not, right? But again, I think it's time for us to do more research in that area. So I'll stop here. I would love to hear your thoughts about using AI. I know it's debatable, a lot of theoretical, ethical questions about folks that use it, right? And then how do we govern in that sense? I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang, for the very informative step-by-step introduction about AI usage in the research. Now let's open to
Very fine. We have 9.
Thanks, Josh, for the very timely.
So yeah, this was what I'm
Okay, I think this works fine. Thanks, Josh, for this very timely and very informative talk that taught us through a lot of developments here. So I would personally I think my job satisfaction has increased after I used ChatGPT because as a non-native English speaker, writing English article, basically a hardest job is to write an article, right? Basically you have ideas and annotate all this research. But now you have text in the screen, the word processor, that cursor is flickering, right? But now with the ChatGPT and everything that really helps generate something, and you build on that. I think that is why AI is helping us and increase my job satisfaction. I think the key thing here is kind of AI as a companion, right? Because it really helps out. But here I have questions. So one question and one comment. So one question here is that so your approach is more as AI agent, right? I think you clearly distinguish that. But in some respects, using a system such like you and getting familiar with it, and even doing necessary work may take more time than simply asking a question to chatbot and do the self-driven research processes thereof, right? But I think the approach has something like efficiency problem. For example, it can take for you to take half an hour to introduce how to do that, right? Basically, I think this approach requires one to be a tactic. Although, I see myself as a detective, but it's really hard to use the system on the local computer. For example, my local library, vendor library, and other articles, and basically it requires now customization. And it requires now knowledge skill. Of course, you have that skill, right? But a lot of us do not have that, right? So then, why should we do that? Because, as I said, my desktop satisfaction increased because of that opinion and kind of user-friendly. But here, the quality template that is developed for the company use from Echo, right? So now we have customized everything here, right? So in terms of that, I'm really confident of that this AI energy in terms of efficiency. So simply put, if I adopt your approach, my time satisfaction may decrease. That's one question. And the other is more of a comment here, right? So you show a lot of how things can be done, but also you talk about whether and how it's policy here. But as you know, the current is about augmented knowledge in that we are not just taking the relevant study, but policy matters, right? For example, evaluate such policy from the perspective from researchers and review it. What matters is the discernibility, how to discern what is good knowledge, what is not very good knowledge, right? So And that is a very genuine error. For example, if you receive some topic from student, you immediately know that, oh, this is not good. Students think that, oh, this is global knowledge, right? Because as a professor here, like, you have a little more like responsibility than students do, right? Then how does your system can help you? Although like you said that you show like candid comparison from 8 to 10 paper or story, that's your responsibility. Okay? So to this comment, because I think the qualification is not just AI replace or not, but I think it's kind of it really has like a strong variation. Those who are more discerned, they might get better at it, right? But also like how about as a qualified researcher? They can use AI, but that's the same way to do, right? So I think my kind of take about your argument, yeah, it can and it cannot, but really like comparison because the discovery doesn't change. Even before AI or after AI, the learning system, regardless of whether you AI use or not, you take, the root cause research, right? So yeah, it's a question. But thank you for the talk.
Yeah, thanks for these constructive question and feedback. So your first question, body efficiency, I completely agree with you. As I mentioned, the area is stratification risk, right? So the anthropic survey, right? 20% folks adopt AI coding agents, right? Only 20%, right? And you also see top 25 universities, right? 40% more likely to use the coding agents. Definitely, there's a stratification risk ongoing. So again, I agree with you. Like a lot of us are still, of course, using these chatbots, right, to generate code and then use it in your own research, right? Maybe that's manageable, right? Again, learning how to use coding agents, there's a learning curve, of course. So if you're not using command line, nowadays you can use desktop, right? My wife actually use desktop instead of command line. So Claude Code, Code or Code, right? Just click buttons, right? So you can to some extent, I would say the barrier to using AI agents actually go down, right? So yeah, regarding efficiency, definitely I agree with you. But again, I would also argue that, right, here, if you're still using chatbot, all right, to generate code and then copy paste and run, modify and write on your local computer, instead of using AI agents, but AI agent actually can do the whole thing from the beginning, right? So you have some idea, right? AI agents touch your data if it can, right? Generate a potential research question, write the code to analyze the data, and then you verify the result. But again, you would also argue that, I still need time to verify the output, right? The AI can write 600 or 1,000 lines of code, but you have to verify that. You still have to spend, AI can do that. The whole pipeline is really 8 hours. You have to spend maybe a week or so, right, to check all the stuff. Yeah, again, that's why I would say human has to be in the loop, right? I'm not saying everything should be autonomous. That's, you're producing trash, to be honest. So that's why every stage, human has to be in the loop as a researcher. You have a job, right? This question is very meaningful, whether, the potential and the plan, right? AI can generate a blueprint for you. Maybe it could be trash, right? So you would have to decide, right? So that means that, there's a trade-off here, right? But again, there's definitely also a stratification. And another quick comment to this question is, yes, producing skill requires certain, AI agent knowledge, but nowadays you can use AI to create a skill. Claude Code has a skill actually, create a skill creator, right? So you have your skill, you know how to do algorithms. You can lay out all these pipelines and ask Claude or AI agent, right, to create the skill for. So reusable. So in that sense, right, it actually increases your efficiency. So you don't have to do it again and again, right? That's why we are building the skill. And that's another reason why if you know how to build skills, you should do that for the community. That's why we are doing this for the community. I'm not promoting this stuff. Again, I know there are a lot of folks, they are doing a lot of advertisement. We did zero, right? We just share with the colleagues. You want to use it, give me some feedback, I can update them. So that's why we are doing this. For the second comment, I will briefly respond to that. Right. So how do we discern the good quality or bad quality? That's a great question, right? So yeah, I think a human has to, as a researcher, you have to evaluate the quality of the product. That's why there's a verification gap. Nowadays, it's so easy to generate stuff. But again, the rate of verifying remains fixed, right? So as a researcher, you have to judge. But again, technically speaking, there are different ways to evaluate the output, right? So here in the pipeline, actually, Claude Code maybe planning, write the code. We also do cross-model validation, right? Using Codex, OpenAI model to evaluate the output, right? Cross-model validation, post agent, independent agent evaluation, right? So there are advocates, right? Have to figure out the potential issues in the code. So that's, technically speaking, that's how we do. And also, I tried something. I use my own paper as a benchmark. Ask AI to compare the producer work with my own, right? Try to find the discrepancy, measure improvement. Right? There are a lot of tricks you can play with. That's why if you know how to evaluate the output, just let me know. Right? But there are some kind of technical ways how to use.
So,
my own voice. Yeah, it's just the mic sounds a little bit weird. So, use the mic soon. Oh, okay.
But I thought that one fixed it up.
It should be fine. Just a little bit louder, yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, George, for this really informative talk. And actually, I attended a conference last 2 weeks ago, organized by computer scientists here, and Chinese test as data, and asked a bunch of computational social science scholars to present their works using computational science methods, doing that type of research. And they also invited some computer scientists from industry and to share with the social science scholars in that room regarding what's the new tools, new AI tools social scientists can use. So during that conference, I asked one particular question about AI agent. So I asked those industry scholars, computer scientists, I have noticed many scholars in the field of hard science, like biology, physics, and so on and so forth, and then computer science. They have used many AI agents to help them with their research. But I do not see one very good AI agent that social science. So we can write skills directly that social science can use, right? Even though we have some papers, but I do not see specifically tools. So whether we have those tools, and I am very happy to see your presentation because you introduced to us a very useful tool here. So possibly in the future, we may need to invite you to come here again in person to give us some workshop regarding the usage of those tools. So this is my first comments and with this talk. So my question, what's the usage? I just want to also use AI agent, not AI agents. I mean, like Jane, chatbot. To help me clarify or summarize some literature, a lot of the stuff that you have introduced that we can reliably use AI tools to do. But with my own application and my observation of other people's application, my key concern here is that, so here you have raised several red flags regarding to what extent AI agents may not be that useful, and it requires a lot of expert knowledge to be a gatekeeper, to select some good quality results or good quality research design, right? But I know how to do it personally, but I also realize that I know how to do it because I am well trained here, and you are also well trained, and Jimmy is also well trained. But training per se is hard. So you know that when I taught in Hong Kong, I noticed that a lot of kids' handwriting is pretty bad. Handwriting. But in mainland China, few of them's handwriting are bad. Their handwriting are always very good. And I noticed the reason is that because handwriting is not that good, because we all know as we grow up, we just type, right? We do not need to write letters, so we do not try on that. So AI makes research so specifically research or research paper, the product of the research, so easy to access. You mentioned about, okay, see, students can do this, do that, do this, do that. But you know what? As these steps become so, easy means that it's so easy to give us a product. You know, easy to lead to good paper, good research. When it becomes so easy, to some extent, they do not even know what they don't know. They do not even know what they don't know. Because they do not have those processes. And last semester, I taught my students to use AI in all my courses. So last semester, I taught an undergraduate course. So all my previous year, before the AI age, right? In all the previous year, as a student, I have 5 in-class exercises that students all need to write their answers using their hands and 1 final paper essay. So I will ask students to develop a research proposal as a puzzle that I propose to them. And for the previous 4 years, I noticed that because I taught here for 5 years, right? So for the previous 4 years, I noticed that even though some students, the students may provide very naive results, naive papers for the final essay, they're reasonable. But for this year, I was really furious on their papers submitted. Furious. Because the majority of those papers, I can tell at the first glance, look good, but are trash. I was so furious at that. And the few people that I gave A are those who can reflect their genuine thinking. So this is my key concern, my first key concern. If we just publicize all these tools and allow all the students at their training stage to use them so easily, are we really helping them to step into a new age, or actually we are jeopardizing them? This is the first question. No question. I know it's beyond this presentation, but this is indeed my question. Yeah, and the second one is this. Okay, you mentioned one thing that is after entering the AI age specifically since 2025, we have seen a boom of the paper submission in the journal, right? I've heard this for many times, how the paper submission have been triple or even so increased rapidly over this past. And you know what's the key issue here? We know how cherishable or how cherishable the blind review system are, and how scholars, genuine scholars, contribute so much of their voluntary time to do journal review. Right now, we know that in many papers, especially scientific journal, and many papers that are at our hands to review, maybe just written, maybe just very easy, low effort paper published by AI. I do not know to what extent I should say that. Or should I also use AI to just give my journal review comments to those papers? If I am doing that, I was thinking what the ecosystem of the social science would be. I do not know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I know this is the trend. I don't know if there was few things that we can do to stop it. But I think the gatekeepers, I am not gatekeepers, but I think the gatekeepers should pay careful attention to it. And I would love to hear this.
All gatekeepers to some extent.
To some extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean more influential gatekeepers. Yeah, so these are my two like broad, not quite relevant to a particular research. I said it's very well done, and I would love to learn more from you. But my two general stories.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. These are two very clear concerns. But the first regards these kind of tools may jeopardize our generation potential. So yes, when I was introducing the skill, I was holding assumption that you're well trained in quantitative science, right? So AI agents can be your research assistant, right? So human in the loop, you have the knowledge to evaluate, judge, right? The output. But that's not always the case. A lot of those, right? Especially junior scholar, you're pursuing a career. So AI is so good at methodological scaffolding, right? You might be training in online regression, but now it's so easy for you to use computational tools, right? Or computer vision, or computational, or NLP, or other tools, or call the inference stuff, right? But again, a lot of times you don't know how to use them. You don't know the assumptions, right? You don't know how to defend the usage. And that's going to be a big issue. I agree with you, right? That's why I was thinking, to some extent, pedagogical practice, right? We need to reform it. How can we make sure, right? Folks can take advantage of AI, but at the same time, we get our training, right? So I think that's, it's going to be a big issue. That's also the era of being power, right? We're not just have aviation industry, just tell the pilots, just fly. Require thousands of hours of training before you can fly, right? So I think similar here. So I agree with you. So that's why I'm not releasing the orchestrator. I did not release the orchestrator style paper. So if you check GitHub Open Scholar skill, right? I have all these modular skill you can use. You can build your own. I do have a simple, basically. Each phase has a hard stop. Humans research. You have to step in. You have to make the call before you move to the next one. I'm not releasing this call because of the ethical concern. That's why I was mentioning. You see, these social media. There are a lot of promotion regarding our research to think about before you use it. I'm not saying they are not good. I'm saying as a researcher, right? You have to make your own job, right? So that's the second is about reviews. So yeah, right. A lot of folks are using it. Some folks may use, but they never do it. But submitted to journals, reviews, right? If you're a responsible review, you read the paper, right? Write down the comment, like could be a lot of folks might use the AI tool. So I mentioned this shop, right? They invited a bunch of editors. These are the systems logic. They had a discussion on whether we should use AI to do a pre-check, right? But again, you see, American Sociology Association, we don't have a policy. They told them, okay, publication committee, yeah, we're about to have some policy, but no policy yet. But Sage publisher does have AI usage policy. You notice that you submit to the journals, Sage actually asking you to declare AI usage, right? So again, I have a lot of concerns regarding using to review paper because of the prompt injection, right? So a scholar, if you know prompt injection, you might use some tricks to, if you're a reviewer using AI, right? If you do a prompt injection, you can have some good review, right? Instead of rejection. Right? This is one of the big issues. That's why a lot of folks have concerns regarding introducing AI into the peer review system. But again, it has some good ones, finding potential methodological stuff. But definitely, I agree with you. It has a lot of issues. That definitely overwhelms the review system. There was kind of a joke folks were mentioning AI writes a paper, AI reviews paper, right? AI reads a paper. Right? These leading companies are using these frequent papers to create their AI systems. So it's kind of a perfect ecosystem. But yeah, I do have a lot of concerns. But I don't have so much. Right? But I do think, now the norm is about to change. Right? But who are going to define the norm in the future? I think that's a question for all of us to have to think about that.
Thank you. We already run out of time, but you are better. If you could.
Okay. I have one question about trade-off with the first one about when you create first I do create a skill can help you to your position when you talk about when you create your skills, you give your skill very detailed instruction. I think sometimes it will leave yourself too narrow. So that's the first trade-off question. Second one about the evolution of LLM model itself. I really know that people fight just for currently by to get going. So if you spend too much time on creating your skill, but actually LLM evolved too fast. So how should we consider trade-off between the skill and LLM evolution?
Yeah, that's actually the question. So there's a trade-off, of course, right? We are creating skills, but so again, I was using that. We are using a extremely uncertain tool to seek certain certainty in our research. For social research, we care about reproducibility. Right? We care about the transparency, whether results are reproducible. Right? To that extent, right? We are producing the AI regions. That's good. But I have to be very honest with you, when you are setting up all these constraints, right? AI agents, right, they produce, determinist output, not accurate. That's for sure. Right? So again, there's always trade. So I noticed that when I was developing the orchestrator, at a certain point, the produced output is terrible. Right, because I had a lot of constraints on. So definitely there's a trade-off. But again, also agree with your second comment. The AI field, right, evolves so fast. We have almost 4.6, also amazing. Then 4.7, right, and then 4.8 and Fable, right. So yes. Market development skills, right? If these leading frontier AI companies, they have the capacity, right, to incorporate all the stuff, right? Why we're doing this, right? And honestly, we are just feeding this company. When you are building the AI stuff, right, the skills, they can access all the stuff you have, right? So that's why a lot of legal professionals, they're not happy, right? These leading firms, and so big, right? They have a legal, product, right? OpenAI has a financial related product. So again, a lot of scholars are, a lot of professionals there develop the skills, but now they're just, all gone. But again, I think for social right now, right? In theory, 80% can be replaced, but only 12. I think still have time for us, right? But these are general purpose AI engines, right? They are performing in certain tasks, but not is domain specific. I think we still need scholars, right, to develop skills. Not every domains, these leading frontier companies are interested. So, but these domains are very important to us. Right? So I do hope more scholars who know how to build skills for the field. So hope I'm your question. But these are there two different sets.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we run out of time. Let's thanks for the job, that's fine.
Thanks.